This is 51 Stories, and this week I'm writing dark satirical comedy about a barbecue where a little boy is offered candy from a stranger, and all he gotta do is show him his Ninja Turtles collection. Welcome to 51 Stories, the channel where my name is Johan, share an original short story once a week, almost every week of the year. Every Monday, I'm given a random assignment from my AI editor, and every Friday is my deadline. This week, I'm writing dark satirical comedy on the theme of nostalgia. It's supposed to have this playful but unsettling tone, and it's set at a barbecue in a garden on the 4th of July, 1993. And the barbecue is also this week's story spark, that one word to get me going. So if you're ready, here's this week's short story titled Toys. In 1993, the coolest toy you could own was probably something from Jurassic Park, or perhaps the deluxe talk boy from Home Alone 2. Robbie Lowell, though, likes Ninja Turtles. "You'll never catch the turtle blimp!" Robbie runs barefoot across the lawn, zigzagging the inflatable toy between the tables and chairs. His cousin Adam is close behind with the foot cruiser. "I just fired hooks into the balloon." "Nuh-uh, did too, and I'm faster. That's a car. It can't even fly." "Yes, it can. It did on the show." "Hey!" Robbie's dad yells. "Stay away from the grill." The boys grind to a halt a few feet from the flames. "Gotcha!" Adam yells, snatching Donatello off the blimp. "Shredder's activated a volcano in the middle of New York. You're turtle toast!" Before Robbie can stop him, Adam shucks Donnie towards the grill. "No!" Out of nowhere, a man hurls himself through the air, catching the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle right before it lands on the burgers. "Guys!" Robbie's dad yells, helping the guy to his feet. "Hey man, you alright?" "It's fine. I caught it," the guy says, holding the action figure up triumphantly. Robbie's dad raises an eyebrow, then turns to the boys. "That's it. No more toys outside." "But Dad!" "No buts, mister. Get your stuff inside now." Robbie hits Adam's shoulder. "Way to go, Adam," he hisses at his cousin. "It was just one stupid turtle. You've got a bajillion," Adam mutters. They trudge off towards the house. The backyard is teeming with people. It's 4th of July, and Robbie's parents are throwing their annual barbecue for the whole neighborhood. Robbie hates having all these people over. "Wait up!" The guy who caught the turtle jogs up after them. "Here you go," he says, handing Robbie the figure. "Undercover Donatello, nice, that's pretty rare." Robbie looks up at the guy. He's never seen him before. He looks schlubby, wearing just jeans and a t-shirt, with a balding head and glasses. The boys say nothing. They turn and head for the door. "Actually, the foot cruiser can't fly. You're probably confusing it with the Neutrinos car from episode 4 of the original series." Robbie and Adam turn around to look at the man. "I'm Chris," he says. You really should be more careful with your toys. Can I hold the blimp?" The boys stare at him. "Come on," Robbie says, and drags his cousin inside. "What a weirdo," Adam says as they run upstairs and leave the toys in Robbie's room. When they get back outside, Adam takes off to find a football while Robbie goes looking for candy. He pushes himself between the adults to get to the table. "Robbie, hon, no sweets before dinner." His mom has frickin' eyes in the back of her neck. "Fine," Robbie sighs. He hovers by the table, waiting for her to look away. Hey, kid! He turns around. It's that guy again, Chris. He's standing by himself over by the patio. He's rattling a box of neon nerds at him. Robbie glances at his mom. She's talking to some lady and doesn't see him walk over. You want some? Chris whispers. I won't tell. Sure, Robbie says, holding his hand out. Making sure no one's watching, he shakes some candy into his palm. That's a cool t-shirt, Chris says. Super Mario Bros. It's a video game, Robbie says, stuffing the nerds into his mouth before anyone can stop him. I know. You've got a Super Nintendo? Yeah, Robbie says. With the gun. The Super Scope? Oh, that's cool. Robbie squints up at Chris. How old are you? Me? I'm 41. That's old. Chris laughs. How old are you? 10? Chris nods approvingly. How come you know so much about turtles? Robbie says. Are you kidding me? They're the coolest. Robbie nods, glancing at the box of nerds. You want more? Yeah. Tell you what, Chris says, squatting down to get at his level. I can get you all the candy you want if you show me a room. Robbie bunches up his eyebrows. Why do you want to see my room? I just want to get a look at your Ninja Turtles. Okay. You've got anything besides nerds? Again, Chris laughs. Sour Patch Kids, Lemonheads, Smarties, Laffy Taffy, Warheads. You've got Warheads? If you can handle them. Robbie snorts. I ate 3 at the same time once. My cousin Adam can tell you. He's just so... No, I believe you, Chris says, quickly cutting him off. Show me a room and you can shove as many warheads in your mouth as you want. Show me, Robbie says. Chris shoves his crummy hand in his pocket, fishing out a handful of warheads in colorful wrappers. Whoa, Robbie gasps. All right, come on. Wait, Chris says, looking around. I'll just go ask to use the bathroom and you can meet me inside, okay? Sure. Excited, Robbie sneaks inside, making sure the coast is clear. By the grill, Stephen, Robbie's dad, is trying to keep track of the orders. He's got the medium rare on the left-hand side, the well done on the right. He's been stuck in a conversation about how Lorena Bobbitt should get the death penalty for 10 minutes now, trying to signal his wife for assistance. She's caught up in her own situation over by the drinks table. He's flipping a patty when a football bounces off the side of the grill, making him drop the meat into the flames. What the hell? Sorry, Uncle Steve, Adam calls out, running off with the football. Sure you are, Stephen says out of the corner of his mouth. That little pyro's been chucking stuff at the grill since I got it going. The guys laugh. Hey, Adam, where's Robbie? Burgers are almost done. Don't know. Adam is already back in the game. Stephen looks around. He can't see Robbie anywhere. He catches the eye of his wife, Julia, mouthing, Have you seen Robbie? Julia looks around, can't seem to find him. Robbie? She excuses herself and walks through the crowd on the lawn, calling for her son. Has anyone seen Robbie? Robbie has just reached the top of the stairs, heading for his room with Chris in tow. This house is huge, Chris says softly behind him. Yeah, it's pretty big. Bet you got a big room too, huh? It's okay, Robbie says. He glances back at Chris over his shoulder. Chris quickly smiles at him. Here we go, Robbie says, stopping in front of the door to his room. It's covered in posters and magazine covers. His mom lets him put stickers on it. You like Star Wars too? Chris says, pointing to the logo. Not that much. My dad likes it. He gave me his old stuff, but I'm not allowed to play with it. It's just for display. Really? Chris says. That's nice of him. Robbie shrugs and pushes the door open. They walk inside. Robbie stops by the door as Chris walks past him. The bedroom is approximately 14 by 16 feet, featuring a couple of large windows and a bunk bed with a desk underneath. The walls, like the door, are filled with posters and pictures. Plastic spaceships hang from fishing lines in the ceiling. Chris stops on the rug, looking at the roads and the little village. Whoa, he says under his breath, slowly turning in place. All right, you've seen it, Robbie says, shifting uncomfortably. Can I have the Warheads now? Chris stops, looking at him. Sure, buddy, I just want to see your turtles first. Why don't you close the door? Out on the lawn, Julia is starting to get worried. Did he say anything to you? She asks Stephen. I told him to take his toys inside. Maybe he went to the bathroom. Julia scans the backyard, watching the kids playing touchball. Then she spots two men in black suits, black hats, and trench coats walking towards them from down by the hedge. Stephen. Stephen looks up to where his wife is pointing. What the hell? The stern-looking men beelines for them through the crowd. Mr. and Mrs. Lowell? Yes, Stephen says, putting the tongs down. The man flashes a badge, something official-looking. I'm Special Agent Greer. This is Special Agent Woodruff, FBI. Have you seen this man? Agent Greer holds up a picture of a schlubby-looking guy with glasses and a receding hairline. Stephen's face falls. His eyes flick around the backyard. Yes, I saw him just a few minutes ago. He was horsing around with the kids. Greer looks over at Woodruff. Sir, we need your permission to search your house. Up in Robbie's room, Robbie pulls out the plastic toy chest with all his action figures. Chris is standing behind him. Open it, Chris commands. Robbie looks up at him. Candy first, man. Eyes fixed on the chest, Chris pulls a fistful of Warheads out of his pocket, then tosses the candy on the floor by the bed. There you go, kid. Go get it. Robbie backs away towards the candy, watching Chris carefully. The man's demeanor has changed completely. He's staring at the chest, trembling hands running along the lid before he pops it open. With a gasp, he gazes down at the action figures. This is, he stammers. You've got almost, is that Scratch? Robbie nods. Then Chris turns to him, wide-eyed and sweaty. You want to play with me? Before Robbie can answer, the door is kicked open. Two men in black suits and trench coats rush into the room, guns drawn. Chris stumbles back, clutching a bunch of action figures to his chest. Christopher Mintz, Agent Greer yells. You are in violation of the 2032 temporal agreement. There's a warrant out for your arrest. No, Chris cries out, then grabs Robbie by the arm. Get out, or the kid gets it. He presses the sharp point of an original Ninja Turtles mutant module against Robbie's throat. Drop the toy, Agent Woodruff says through his gritted teeth. What the hell is going on here? Stephen calls, stepping through the door. Mr. Lowell, stay back and let us handle this, Greer says. Mintz, drop the damn toy. Chris stares at the agent, then at the gun. Fine. He lets the Ninja Turtles mutant module fall to the floor. I just wanted to play, Chris cries softly into his hands. Cuff him, Greer says. Woodruff grabs Chris, puts him in handcuffs, and leads him out of the room. The Lowells run in to comfort Robbie, who's watching in shock. What the hell was that? Stephen demands, yelling up at Greer. Well, sir, I don't know how else to tell you this, but in 2029, time travel is invented. We figured everyone would be killing Hitler and watching the pyramids get built. We were wrong. I'd suggest you get some extra locks on your house. Financially stable grown men overcome with nostalgia are coming for your child's toy collection. Stephen and Julia stare at the agent. Here's my number, Greer says, handing them a business card. I'd suggest removing that X-wing from the window. Okay, that was toys. I don't know. I think this is very funny. I don't know if anyone else does, but yeah. I mean, it could have been funnier. I could have probably made it more of a comedy. But I just thought the idea of, like, in my head, especially when I read it, it's sort of like a reenactment you see on those stupid, or stupid, I shouldn't say, but you know, those reality, like, I don't know, like cheaters and or like true crime shows where there's sort of a reenactment and a dramatic retelling. So the narrative voice is like this typical TV narrator who's just retelling the story as it went down, and then all of the lines are delivered by these horrible actors who's just doing their best to secure their next I don't know, commercial or whatever. And at the same time, I wanted it to be this. I actually had the idea a few months ago and then just put it in a drawer. And the idea was I wanted to write something that was sort of like a satire or a comedy or a comment on that nostalgia that is very common in men of my generation. I'm almost 40 now, and I see this in men my age, not so much women, but men my age and slightly younger, who are like severely nostalgic for the past, for the late 80s and 90s. And they've got this almost perverse, like, my idea was to write a story where about this kid who encounters a man who wants to see his room for some reason. Like, he keeps like manipulating him and trying to get into his room, trying to, you know, like he wants a sleepover. And as a reader, you're supposed to go, this is stranger danger. Like, kid, what are you doing? Because it's so obvious to the reader that this is like, this is probably a sex criminal. Like, most likely this won't end well at all. And then it just turns out that it's this time-traveling nostalgia nerd who just wants to hold all the Ninja Turtles. And yeah, that's just, it's super funny to me. I don't think that the execution was as funny as I originally thought it would be. I don't know. It just never got there. But then again, you know, I might revisit the idea and rewrite it later. I realized that I can do that with any of these stories, even though I've only got 5 days to put them together and get them to work and all of that. I can still revisit them later if it's worth it. And this, I mean, it's so stupid. The premise is so stupid. And that it's like a really long, it reminds me of that moth joke that, what's his name? Norm Macdonald tells. It's this super classic clip. I think it's from like Conan or something, where he tells the story. It's a long, stupid story about a moth that just goes on forever, and the punchline is so dumb. If you haven't watched it. If you have, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And this sort of feels like the same thing. It's this long, elaborate buildup of this garden party and this very weird situation where this older man starts coaxing this kid and manipulating him into showing him in his room. And in the meantime, you get to see the parents grow worried, and it's like everything is moving in one direction, and then the punchline is just, yeah, this fucking nerd went back in time because he wanted to see an original Scratch, which is a very rare Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles action figure. This is part of it. Like I had a period where I was Chris. Not to that extent. Like, no. But yeah, I was very into nostalgia stuff as well. When I was a kid, I loved Star Wars. I loved Ninja Turtles. I had some Transformers and all of that stuff. And then in my mid-20s, I had a period where I was probably going through some kind of life crisis. And I just, delved hardcore into, and this was right around the Star Wars sequel trilogy, like The Force Awakening coming out, and it was just this nostalgia, wave washing over the entire world. And I remember being a kid and being into Star Wars. It was me and one other kid in a school of 1,000 students who were into Star Wars. Everyone else hated Star Wars. And they thought I was such a nerd. They laughed every day at me for liking Star Wars. And then back in, when was it? 2015 or whatever, the entire world just went crazy for all the stuff I used to love as a kid. And I went hard into the nostalgia mode and collected a bunch of action figures and got into the books and comics and all of that stuff. And I'm not saying it's bad. You do whatever you want. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. But there's a point where, and that is the point of the story too, it gets to a point where it's almost like this creepy, like an adult man who behaves like this, grown kid who is so perversely attached to the past that they cross a boundary. And taken to its extreme, this is where, not only the time travel that is super extreme, but actually trying to get into this little kid's room, but doing it in this very creepy line crossing sort of way, boundary crossing sort of way. It's disturbing. And I don't know. I think that it feels like we're coming out of it now. We're coming out of the back end of it now, but we really had this sort of nostalgia psychosis there for a while. And when I was caught up in it, I didn't think that much about it. I did reflect on the fact that it was pretty weird, but then I allowed myself to sort of indulge for a while. And then I got out of it. And then I decided, it was probably when they released the second Star Wars, whatever it was called, The Last Jedi, that felt like it killed Star Wars for me, but in a good way. I saw a bunch of people online and everyone was up in arms over the fact that, this guy, this director, Rian Johnson, he ruined Star Wars for everyone. He took our toys and he blew them up. And honestly, my reaction to that was good. It's time to grow up. It's time to let that shit lie. Let it die, let it go. And it was part of the point in the story as well, but of The Last Jedi, but I don't think it was meant the way that I interpreted it, because it was still meant as a sort of, I don't know, it was about story and myth and all of that stuff, which I don't agree with Rian Johnson about at all. But it did feel very liberating to just be able to feel that, okay, Star Wars is dead to me. Like, it was awesome when I was a kid. I had such a tremendous relationship with the story and the characters. And I mean, I watched it when I was really young. I must have watched the movies like at least 50 times each, probably more, especially like the second movie, The Empire Strikes Back, which was my favorite. And because of the Hoth battle, that was it. The rest of it was pretty weird when I was like 8, but the opening sequence is unparalleled. And then going back into that, feeling this nostalgia and living in that sense of being a kid. And that was why I wanted to incorporate all the candy and all the stuff of that era, because it feels like that is what people are. We are very prone to getting caught up in that sort of perverse nostalgia. And I don't think it's good. I don't think it's constructive, and I don't think it really gets you anywhere. And if you like follow it to its extremes, this is where you end up. And that is very tragic, which makes it very funny to me. I mean, the fact that someone gets so obsessed over action figures that they're willing to go back in time and like manipulate their way into a kid's bedroom. Yeah. I hope you think it's as funny as I do. And if you like this video, if you like the story, then please hit the like button and subscribe for more stories like these or like this. And if you didn't like the story, then subscribe anyways, and perhaps the next one will be more to your liking. As I say at the start of the videos, every assignment I get is random, so I don't know what I will be writing from one week to the next. I don't know what genre, I don't know what theme, I don't know what tone. And I just try to make the best of it. So hopefully you enjoyed it. If you want to read it in your own voice, you can. All the stories are available on 51stories.substack.com. You can also follow me on Instagram. That's 51 Stories Told at Instagram. Yeah. Okay. That's it for this week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging out. All right. Have a good one. And all hail the eternal storyboard.